Okay, let's start all over again. So, okay. Well, this is Nacho Jacopu, and this is going to be my Restream. I'm going to lower this volume a bit, excuse me. Okay, so this is going to be my Restream of my Final Fantasy 3 Any No Credits War PB in 47 minutes and 25 seconds. So yeah, this is a Final Fantasy game that was never released outside of Japan, at least this version. And so okay, I'm going to wait until the run starts. I'm just naming my characters there. One minor thing to mention is that unfortunately this category cannot be done in any version other than the original Japanese version. You can do the glitches that are required in this run with the patched version. So that's a bit of an unfortunate downside of this run. So here we go. So this is how the run starts. At the very beginning of the run, there is nothing too much out of the ordinary. We just start with a good old RPG story, and the story for this game, at least what we will be seeing in this run, is that we have these 4 orphans that went exploring and fell through a hole in a cave and were drawn by a magic crystal that granted them some of its powers and told them that they had to go and restore the balance of the world. A very standard RPG story. And as I was mentioning, the start of the run is pretty much conventional RPG fare. You just need to go through this starting area, killing the enemies on your way, and on this run we will be picking most of the items from chests in this cave, because we need some items to sell, and also because we need potions in order to do one of the first tricks in this run that are called encounter skips. Right there, right here, I will be using a potion, because on the next step I would normally be getting a random encounter, but since using potions or any cure spell will increase my step counter by 1, and this in turn will end up with me skipping the encounter that I was supposed to get. Here I drink from this healing water. This will be needed in order to face the first boss in this game that's coming up right now. Also, another item I get in this cave is an attack item called Southwinds. They do cast an ice spell, and if we use them on this boss it would save a lot of time because this boss is weak to ice. However, we need to conserve those items because we will sell them after we exit this cave, because we are going to need a lot of gold in order to buy some items required for the major glitches in this run. So we just end up beating up this guy by mashing A pretty much and hitting them with our starting gear and hoping we don't get too many misses. Unfortunately, this fight can be a bit slow, but there really is no risk to it. The only real risk that I could get is him killing all 4 of my characters, and that's never going to happen. Oh yeah, also the numbers you see on top of the enemy are my player's order in which they are attacking the enemy. That's a minor detail. So here we have an introduction, and this is a good opportunity to explain what this category is all about. So this is Any Percent's No Credits Warp. Maybe some of you are familiar with a run of this game that beats the game in 7 minutes. That is done by using what's called a credits warp, where we just invoke some sort of glitched job in a fight, and we trigger a warp that just starts displaying the credits right away. In this category, that one particular trick is banned, but everything else is allowed. We will be making extensive use of what's called a glitched job, or glitched class, whichever you prefer. And well, as you can imagine, in this game it's a bit similar to Final Fantasy V, in which you get different jobs you can exchange at any time for any one of your characters. You have 22 jobs in this game normally, but using glitches you can get jobs beyond these 22 limits, and those are the glitched jobs. These jobs obviously were not intended in any way, so they are visually a glitch, and their commands they have in fight are also glitched, and they will let us do all sorts of crazy stuff in this run. They are the core of this run. But anyway, we're finally out. We need to stop buying here to get some more gold, because in order to get some glitched jobs, first we need to get some special item, and the way of getting that item is via some other glitch that's called the 99 item glitch, or also item upgrade trick. And how this is done is, when you have 99 of any item and that item drops from you from any fight, it will glitch something else in your inventory. Basically, it will increase some other item in your inventory by 1, its ID value, and we do this to get a specific item that we will be using in order to get our first glitched jobs. So what I did there was I sold everything I had, well, almost everything, and I got enough gold to get 99 eye drops. We get eye drops because they are the cheapest item we can buy that we can also get as a drop. So we can come over here to this second starting village, and here we get an item called a God's Rage. A God's Rage is a damage item that casts thunder, and that's the item we will be glitching. And how we do this? Well, first we need to guarantee that we will be getting the eye drop, and we will do this via RNG manipulation. And how this is done? Well, in this game we can manipulate RNG by doing a hard reset that will reset all the values in the internal memory of the game, and then triggering a random encounter in a specific tile after a specific amount of frames. So this is sort of frame perfect. This is some manipulation I have been figuring out, and it is actually quite reliable. And also, once I start the fight, the RNG seed is already set, so it doesn't matter how many frames it takes me to do things in fight. All that's important is that I do the same actions in the same order. Also, these enemies are undead, so I kill them with potions. And by triggering the same seed and killing the same enemies in the same order, I can guarantee that I will get the eye drop I need. And there it is, and that eye drop, based on the way I sort out my inventory, is going to turn my God's Rage item into a bomb core or bomb arm. And this item has an ID value of 180, and that's going to be very important for a glitch that's coming up real soon. But for now, we can proceed with the story, sort of. we just talk to Sid, and well, this entire village has been hunted, and he lends us his airship in order to try and save the village, but we are not going to do that. Also, here we take a few extra steps. Those are very convenient because they will let us get the next encounter we need just when we need it, not earlier, not too late. Oh yeah, there's also, I mean, there's many glitched jobs, but most of them are pretty much useless because all they can do is softlock the game or freeze the game. In this run we use I think 3 or 4 different glitched jobs. On this next encounter we're going to get 2 of them. But yeah, what I'm doing here is I am buying stuff. Basically I buy 10 knives and 10 shields and more stuff, because to glitch the game now, the first thing we need to do is fill up our inventory, and we will do that by using our stacks of shields and knives. So we enter Sassoon Castle. In here we need to get arrows, normal arrows and holy arrows. Holy arrows are also very important. They have an ID value of 80. This is going to come into play now. I need to set up my inventory now, because on the next step I'm going to trigger an encounter. So I sort out everything right now in order to obviously have easier access to the items I'm going to need for this glitch. So okay, on this fight, the first thing I do is I use one item, I use a holy arrow, and now the holy arrow is in a way in my second character's hands. It's not on my inventory anymore. And what I do now is I start swapping my equipped items, my shields. I equip a shield and then I equip a knife, and I keep doing this. And every time I do this, the item that was previously on my character's hands will fall out of my hands and into my inventory, but it won't fall back into the stack. It will start using his own place in my inventory. And by doing this, I will slowly but surely fill up my inventory. It doesn't take that long really. But yeah, once I do this, once my inventory is full, I can then, there it is full. I can then hide the stack of holy arrows, and then when I cancel player 2 using the holy arrow, this will not have anywhere else to go because the inventory is full. So it will fall down into the first 0 it finds in memory, and it just happens that the first 0 in memory is player 1's job value, which used to be Onion Kid. Onion Kid ID is 0, so now my first character is job ID 80, and this is one of the glitched jobs. Now, since we're here already, what we do is we start filling up even more into memory with arrows. I use arrows, I hide the stack of arrows, and I cancel using the arrows, and they have nowhere else to fall into, so they keep falling into my player 1 stats. And what I want to do by doing this, is I want to reach player 2 stats, because I am also going to glitch player 2 job. He's also an Onion Kid, so his job ID is 0, I can glitch it by just doing this. And I'm going to turn player 2 into job ID 180, and that corresponds to the bomb I glitched earlier with the undead enemies. So I need to do this whole arrow thing exactly 8 times, and the next item I drop after those 8 times will fall into player 2 job value. And this will give him the glitched job. Once this is done, I can go back to player 2, and as you saw, by entering and exiting the item menu, I can activate the glitched commands. And I did this, and player 2 now had one glitched command that corrupted my entire inventory. Yeah, that happened a bit too fast, I didn't have time to explain it. But basically I just corrupted my entire inventory, giving myself a lot of junk, and also, as you can see here, changed the visual appearance of my characters, reflecting their glitched jobs. And well, now my player 1 job is also glitching my post menu, as you can see, and if I try to see their stats, the game gets even more glitched and it corrupts my overworld position. And if I reset and re-enter, it turns out that my airship was transported outside this 13th continent. And by doing this I save close to an hour of a normal run that does not use glitched jobs. So that was the first barrier that we broke through. Now we can stop by this village, and since we got so many glitched items, we sell a few, we get enough gold, and we buy some more stuff that we will be using to glitch and to fill up our inventory. Most importantly, I buy 99 potions, because we are going to do a variation of the 99 item glitch, but this time we will do it in the overworld, where it's much easier to do, because we don't have to go through screen transitions. So in here we can manipulate 2 potion drops every time we do this, which is pretty convenient because we need to do a lot of glitching this time around. So what can we do with 99 potions and manipulating 2 potions on every encounter? Well, now what we can do is we can glitch 2 items at the same time, or said in a different way, we can glitch 2 different values in memory at the same time. We can increase 2 different values by 1 by doing this. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to repeat this quite a few times, and as you can see, every time I do it, I'm going to not only turn an item into something different, I'm also going to increase the job ID value of player 1, and as you can see, this will be reflected on its overworld sprite. It's going to change every time I perform this trick. I do this because 1, I need to reach a very specific glitched job, and this is the fastest way of doing it. I need to reach job ID 88, because that one particular glitched job has a very special property. When I check the stats of that character, it's going to break my airship as well, but in a very different way. I do not want to spoil it, but it is something that's required for this run. It's also a very interesting trick to look at. But yeah, I need to do this at least 8 times in order to go from job ID 80 to 88. And since I am glitching 2 items or 2 values every time, I can also use this opportunity to give myself another set of items that will be very useful for the rest of the run. For one, you may have noticed that the first time I did this, I used a thunder attack, but then I used some sort of earthquake attack. That's because I glitched some thunder item into an earth drum. That's what's causing the earthquakes. I also need to glitch myself a bow. The bow is useful because it is the easiest item I can acquire that can be equipped by the Onion Knights, and that's going to be useful for a glitch later on. I also need to make myself a silk ski. This is required to enter the final dungeon of the game. And also something else I glitch myself are some items called other heads, and what they do is they allow me to exit from any dungeon or area or town. This is very good because it reduces backtracking. It's not required, but it is a time save. There's also many safeties I can take in here in terms of glitching items or different stats. For instance, something I do not do in this run obviously, but it can be done for marathon safety purposes is glitch myself a lot of HP on my first character, who right now has 150, but I can easily glitch that value to be over 40,000, and that will make me pretty much immune to almost everything in case I screw up. I can also glitch myself very easily an Onion Helmet, the strongest helmet in the game, that not only has very good defense, but it also gives me immunity to every status ailment in the game, such as Confusion, Petrify, Poison, well, everything. And that's also a very useful item to have. Yeah, in the meantime, this is a good time to, well, read whatever, donations or whatnot. So now I'm on job ID 87, if I recall correctly, so this one should be the final manipulation I'll need in here. Yeah, when I get this job I can proceed with the game. Since we have this airship here, we can instantly reach the flooded continent, but before that we need to do a little bit of shopping here. I still have around 40 airdrums, but I need to keep a very specific amount. Basically, I need to keep enough airdrums to grind a bit, plus one. And this is usually 4 or 3. More often than not it is 4. In this one, yeah, it is 4. I buy a few spells to fill up my inventory, and then I can leave. So the flooded continent, it is a mess to navigate. At this point what I do is I use the music as a cue to know when to turn, because I need to find a very small island and this place is extremely huge. And yeah, getting lost here will be really bad. But at this point we can sort of continue with what's the story. And the goal, the immediate goal in here, sorry, is to unflood this continent, and we do this by coming here and curing this maiden, Ilya, and she can take us to the water cave where if we kill the boss we will unflood the continent. So that's what's going on here story-wise. So now she joins our party, and we can use one of the items we created, the other head, in order to escape from this area very quickly. But before we can enter the water cave, we need to grind what are called capacity points in this game, and those are what the game uses in order to let you change jobs at will. You grind them on any encounter, really. Usually the harder the encounter is, the more capacity points you will get. And in order to proceed with the run, we need to get 56 of them. And that's why we keep a certain amount of extra airdrums, because we will be using those in order to grind those capacity points. Each fight in here gives me 4 capacity points, but the enemies in here are really dangerous. So what I do is I once again save and reset and manipulate them so I can kill them before they kill me. I manipulate a very specific formation where I know they won't hit me, that one will miss, and then I will kill them all in one go. And I will get 4 capacity points every time I do this. And this is required because what I will be doing in the water cave is give myself another glitched job, but I will do it by the same way I did it the first time, by dropping an item into player 1 stats. And obviously, so I can drop this item, there needs to be a 0 in the job value, and a 0 means onion kit, obviously, so I need to revert back to an onion kit. And to do this I need 56 capacity points, so that's why I have to grind those here. But luckily this grind is real quick if I manipulate it properly. Just one more fight and this is good to go. Also, the first thing I will be doing in the water cave is going to be see the stats of player 1. I glitched player 1 to be job ID 88, the one that looks like the princess. And if I look at the stats of that one player, then I will, as I mentioned earlier, sort of dislocate again my airship. But this time it's not going to change the position of the airship, but its type. And it's going to give me a type that doesn't exist in the game, so basically a glitched airship. You will see it soon. But yeah, for now I reverted back after I got the glitched airship, reverted back to being an onion kid. And this is just now me sorting out my inventory in preparation for the boss fight that's coming up. And also to talk in a bit of greater detail about encounter skips. As I mentioned at the start of the run, encounter skips are when you use any healing item or spell just one step before you're supposed to get an encounter. This will let you skip said encounter. And this is done extensively in the later parts of the run, especially the final dungeons. But there's also another way to skip encounters that's much faster. That's what I just did. And this is called a select skip. Basically, when you try to move against a body of water, or well, against any walkable tile, but from a position where you cannot reach this tile, and the step counter will increase by 1 for every frame. So logically you cannot guarantee you are going to hold against this water tile for 1 frame every time. So what I do is, as you've been seeing, I press select. Select is what changes what my visible character is, and this gives me a 10 frame delay where no inputs are registered. So I use this to buffer the input, so I can guarantee that I only hold against the body of water for just 1 frame, because then I'm going to get the 10 frames lag where no inputs are going to be registered. And this is obviously extremely convenient because it is much faster to execute a select skip compared to having to pause, use a potion and then cancel. They can be a bit risky though, but with enough practice they are not so bad. But anyway, we reached the end of this dungeon, and here we find the crystal. And also the boss. And here's where we are going to be doing our final glitching. This one's very short though. All we need to do is use our final air drum, and then we fill up the empty slot the air drum left. There is a faster way to do this now, by the way, that I wasn't aware about in my PB run. But basically what I just did was use the air drum, then fill out the empty slot in the inventory that the eardrum left. Then I cancelled using the eardrum. This made the eardrum fall down into player 1 stat, and the eardrum has an ID value of, if I recall correctly, 183. So that turned player 1 into job 183, and this job is very special because it has a glitched command that basically just ends the fight right away. So that's how we defeated, quotation marks, defeated that one boss. And the good thing about the glitched end combat command is that it lets us proceed with the run as if we had defeated the enemy. So that is very convenient, and that's how we are going to deal with every single enemy from now on. Now there's a very minor sequence in here that we have to complete, because if we don't complete this now, then the game would soft lock once we reach a certain point later on, and we do not want that. So we need to do this minor quest in the sewers. Story-wise, this is, at this point in the game, our airship has been anchored down by some giant called Goldor, and we need to go to Goldor's mansion, but in order to get in there we need some levitating shoes, and they are kept by some witch who lives in the sewers. So that's why we need to get down here to the sewers and retrieve those shoes. Yeah, that's what happens when you do not skip an encounter properly. But luckily, since we have the glitched command to end encounters, we can just, if we happen to get into an unintended encounter, we can hopefully skip it right away and not lose too much time. Just like this one. Luckily, this is not a very long place, so we are almost done. There's only 4 encounters to skip in here, if you follow the route I am following at least. So yeah, there we get the floating shoes, but we won't be using them because right away when we leave this town we will be activating the glitched airship. And just look at it. Oh, by the way, I should have said there's a headphone user's warning here. I should write this down, by the way. Now, this airship is not only a mess that makes the screen shake and is completely dislocated, but it also has no collision detection. So we can fly over these mountains, and right there is the final temple in the game. We can just land right there and enter. And there it is, the Zerg's Tower. So yeah, all we have to do now is climb this tower so we can reach the end of the game. Pretty nice, isn't it? So the Zerg's Tower is basically an exercise in how to memorize where are all the encounters you need to skip. Also, there's me using the Zerg's key in order to proceed to the upper floors of this run. You will see me still using potions to skip all of these encounters. even though I could, just like the task does, I could just get into an encounter and instantly use the encounter skip command. That will just let me keep moving right away. But there's two main reasons why that's not the preferred course of action in a speedrun, even though it could be faster. But we don't do it because, one, as you may have been noticing from every time I post, I am level 17 at most. In this area, most random enemies you find in random encounters are level at least 80. And with that much difference, there is an extremely high chance I will be getting back attacks. And back attacks from enemies in this area are extremely deadly. I'm expecting at least a 1k hit, at least. And as you can see, I do not have enough HP to survive those. So if they were to give me a back attack and they killed my first character before he could use the escape command, then I would be screwed. Luckily though, as I mentioned during my previous glitching sections, there are safeties that you can take for this area. One of them is giving me a very high pool of HP, around 40k. This would let me survive many hits from many enemies. But second, I could also glitch myself an onion helmet. The onion helmet in this game gives me immunity against every status element, such as confusion, paralysis, petrify, etc. I have lost runs to this because my main guy got confused and could not use his glitched command, so that's definitely a good safety to take. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why we still use potions to skip encounters in here. The second one, and the most important one, is because every time you get into an encounter, the music stops and then it starts playing all over again. And the music in these final areas is too good to interrupt. So by using potions we can just let the music loop eternally. We're nearing the end of this dungeon, but it is still not the end, as you are about to see. But yeah, at this point the run is pretty much just chill, listen to the music, the very good music this game has. Also, as you can see, if you remember, I started with 99 potions, and by the end of this run, I'm sorry, I think I have like 40. So that's a lot of encounters I will be skipping. But for now, we reach the end of the Zurich Tower. This is a sort of interesting part of the run, of the game I should say, when you're playing the English patch, because on the English patch there is a use of a not very nice word. I won't be saying it, but and the fun thing is that there's many people who think that the fan-made patch is the real thing, so they are very surprised because they think all of a sudden Nintendo decided to add some dirty words to their games back in the day. A little bit of trivia. Well, anyway, at that point we are sort of trapped by some spell, but a bunch of guys we have never met decide to come by and help us. Well, except for these guys, we met them. So yeah, we have the old man, we have Princess Sarah, we have Sid, we have Decht, and we have Prince Alus, I think it's the name. So they free us from the curse and we can go and beat up the bad guy. And this is very easy, as you can imagine. However, yeah, obviously he was not the real bad guy. This is supposedly a fight that you were meant to lose, but if you use the glitched command, I mean, you will still lose the fight, but it will let you proceed with the story as if you had lost the fight. So that's sort of very convenient. I really don't know if you can kill that Cloud of Darkness, the first version of it. Maybe someday I will look it up. But yeah, for now all of your friends give you one final put, so you can enter the actual final area of the game, the Dark World. This is another area with an amazing soundtrack, probably my favorite in the game. The deal with this area is that in order to go and face the final boss, you need to defeat all 4 of its guardians to release 4 Dark Knights that were trapped that are going to help you. So we need to go to 4 different areas in this Dark World, defeating all 4 bosses. And well, yeah, that's it. Here's the first one. Ahriman, and he's gone. Note that we do not need to go up and talk to the crystal. Just defeating the boss is good enough to shake the flag that will let us go and fight the final boss. Also, the order in which I do this for Guardians was based off, well, pretty much me trying out all different orders and figuring out which ones were the fastest in terms of less steps taken, less encounters to skip, and well, that's it really. So here we are reaching the second Guardian. Echidna. Also, that's me taking extra steps, and that lets me skip an encounter right outside, because inside the Guardian chambers, your step counter does advance when you take steps, obviously, but there's no chance of getting random encounters in there. So by taking those extra steps in there, I can bypass one random encounter I would get if I did not take those steps. Also, I can do a few encounters, select skips in here, not that many sadly, because there's a very small area where you can move yourself against in order to do the skips. So this is the area of the Church Guardian. Is easily the most cryptic one of them all to navigate, because there's many hidden paths, and the points where you have to do the skips are not really obvious. I do have visual cues, but they're not really that obvious at the first time, so it can be a bit difficult to remember where I have to do them. But it's not so bad. This is the Church Guardian, Kerberos. Also, I take extra steps in there to skip another encounter outside. Whenever possible, it is always faster to take extra steps in areas with no encounters, instead of having to pause and use a potion one extra time. Because, well, taking steps takes what, 1 second? While pausing, using a potion, and unpausing is on average 5 seconds. So that's another minor tech, if you will call it that, in this run, in order to optimize everything. Which, by the way, on this route is still not completely optimal. I mean, in this PB video, but I have done many minor optimizations to the step route and to menuing in order to skip a few unneeded pausing, and, well, obviously to make the run a bit faster. Yeah, we are about to enter the lair of the final Guardian. This is the two-headed dragon. And once again, he's done for. So now, with all 4 Guardians down, we can go to the lair of the real final boss of the game. As you can see, I went from 99 potions to 49. Well, it's going to be 48 now. This is the final skip I have to do, final encounter skip. And now we can just head right into the boss room. And as you can probably imagine, this boss fight is going to end up being a little anticlimactic. But hey, it's a speedrun. The faster we can defeat him, the better. So this is going to be the true bad guy, the Cloud of Darkness, in his or her true form. But yeah, that's it. So anyway, that was Final Fantasy 3 Any No Credits Warp. That's my PB, that's currently the fastest known time. I should say that the first person that theorycrafted a route for this, an RTA viable route, was Duckfist. He had a route that also relied back then on getting this elusive eye drop from the enemies from the starting cave. And back in the day, well, this drop has an 8% chance of dropping, more or less. So yeah, back in the day, even though this route existed, and people thought it was really unfeasible to do in real-time runs, because obviously you were banking on a very hard to get drop, and there was really not a way to manipulate it, because since you have to go through so many transitions that you would normally have to get by frame perfectly, it was considered to be really unfeasible to do in RTO runs. However, I came up with a method that's basically sort of a seed matrix, RNG seed matrix, where you have a certain range of possible values you can get, and if you can figure out which value you got for the encounter, then you can there's always a course of action you can take in a fight that will guarantee the drop you need from whatever starting RNG value you can get. So that's what ended up making this route RTA viable and marathon viable in a way. Because speaking of which, I have done this run at a live marathon, the Chilean Speedsters meeting that happened in this year in February, where I managed to successfully pull off this run in a live setting, even though the manipulations were not very kind to me, but they took me a few tries to get, but I did manage to pull them off. So anyway, I was talking about routes, sorry. After Duckfish's route, I took his route and I started working up from it, figuring out, well, first all of the manipulations, and also minor optimizations all over the place, stuff such as creating new items we can use in the run in order to save even more time, optimizing menuing, and well, the inclusion of select skips that were also a trick that I do want to say I discovered it. Well, I discovered the way of doing it with select, but it was well known that moving against a tile of water increased your step counter. Now it's a minor fun thing, your airship gets stuck in here if you never blew up that rock. But yeah, that was Final Fantasy III, a very short speedrun of an RPG that may not be that well known, well, at least the NES version, but I consider it to be a very interesting glitch exhibition, if anything, because you can use some very fun ways to break the game, such as I especially like the glitched airship. I think that's the climax of this run. But it is, yeah, a very fun speedrun, very short for an RPG, and a very interesting type of run you really don't see that much. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Now I say goodbye, thanks for watching, see ya.